everyone, my name is Alexandra and I'm from the Netherlands, a city called Tilburg. I have been again a while from my English speaking channel because I've been creating a lot of content for my Russian channel. So today I'm back again with you, and today's topic is going to be about pregnancy and labor in the Netherlands. I will talk from my own experience because I'm married to a Dutch partner, Dutch husband. I don't like to call him partner, he's my husband. And we have a almost, in January will be 2 years old son, but he's still 1 year and 10 months. So I had an experience here with labor and delivery. Perhaps this video will be more interesting for a female population. You know, the women usually more interested in knowing all these details about this process because it's something what happens to them and to their bodies. But probably some men also will stay curious and, you know, to learn more about how this process is going on, especially if they're planning to relocate to the Netherlands and expect having children here. So before I begin, I would like everyone to click this subscription down below, subscribe to my channel, leave your comments down below. I appreciate any input, any your thoughts and ideas. Of course, I require you, really require, not even ask you, require you to be polite, to be reasonable, you know, not insult anyone. Everyone of us has their own opinion, and that's okay, but that's my channel. I'm not tolerating anyone coming here and saying how wrong I am because I'm not interested in your opinions. You can share your experience. I respect your experience, but my experience is my experience, and I have eyes, I have knowledge, I have education, I have my personal value system. So everything in this channel is through me because it's my channel. Okay, today we're going to talk about pregnancy and labor in the Netherlands. To be honest, I only have an experience of being pregnant, having a child in the Netherlands. So I can't really compare this experience with any other experiences, you know, I could have had some other countries, you know, like I originally, those who don't know me, originally I come from Moscow, from Russia. I have spent a year and a half living in New York City, and now I'm living in Netherlands, married to a Dutch partner, having a child and a house, cat and a dog. I studied in English here. I got my master's degree in international law and human rights at Tilburg University. So and as I said to you earlier, I only have experience of having a child here, so I can't really compare it with an American experience or even experience in Russia, because this is the only experience I know. And to be honest, I'm very, very happy with the experience I've had here. So how do they deal with pregnancies here? Pregnancy is being considered as something very natural to women. I know everybody says, yeah, of course it is. But for instance, like in the country where I come from Russia, a lot of women, they being like over medicated and, you know, looked too much precise, I would say, and they always, you know, scare women and say like what can be dangerous. They have to have this medications and this vitamins and this and this and that. Dutch people take it very easily. Before 12 weeks, there is nothing, what Dutch believe, and any Western medicine, you know, proven medicine believes that nothing you can do to actually save the pregnancy. So before 12 weeks, there's been nothing. They can do anything, you know. If something goes wrong, you know, it goes wrong and you end up in miscarriage, or, you know, things, you know, man up, you know, toughen up a bit, and, you know, your body will find the strength, you know, to continue the pregnancy, you know, even though you had maybe the bleeding or some other complications, you know, your pregnancy will survive. So all Dutch people do, that doctors, before 12 weeks, they just wait and see where it goes. Usually in the Netherlands, your pregnancy is being supervised, taken care of midwives. Doctors are staying out of the picture unless something serious has taken place. Usually your midwife, they can be like small practice somewhere. It can be a practice in the hospital itself. So you go to that place, you know, you're being checked, you know, and before 12 weeks, as I said, they do nothing. After 12 weeks, your appointments, you know, become more regular and regular. And yeah, they look at you more closely and precisely, and every few days, right upon your due date, let's say. What's so spectacular about the whole process, you know, in Netherlands when it comes to, you know, labor and delivery and pregnancy in the Netherlands, that you've always been together, you're always going through this together with your partner, so you're never alone. I remember we had a day when we were giving a lecture about the labor and the first signs of labor and how to react and what to do. That was taking place in a hospital, and all women who were there, that was great, that was incredible. They were with their partners. I didn't see any woman was just sitting alone and just hopelessly a lady. No, all women were with their partners, and they were giving lecture about all kinds of, you know, details of how the labor will go, and how about the pregnancy, mostly about the labor, the first signs of labor, what can you expect. And there were so many physiological details which are not really pretty, and that was totally fine for all the men in the audience. And it was so, I felt so right in that moment, because the culture I'm coming from originally, from Russia, you know, I'm very internationally minded, but this is the culture I can compare something to, you know, doesn't really tolerate this kind of things. Women supposed to stay mystery, women supposed to do everything, and cook and clean and work full time and look super young, and, you know, this labor, oh, please do it somewhere yourself, which is very much wrong. I know in most of the Western countries, you know, that's totally normal, but perhaps there is some people who are watching me from other countries, from other cultures, not Russian culture, but somewhere, maybe in Asia or in Africa or in, you know, somewhere else, you know, Latin America, where they have quite similar tendencies when it comes to labor and delivery. And that's actually made me very, very happy that, you know, here as a woman, you're not going through this process alone. Your partner is with you in every single step of the way. And it's not being considered something heroic, you know, something special. It's just a norm. And I think it should be that way. And I think it's a great thing of Dutch society that it is done that way. Okay, what happens during the labor process? During the labor process, everybody knows the physiological details, but you can labor in 3 different places. So not only in a hospital is possible, it's also possible in a Crown Hotel, they call it, like a labor hotel. You know, the hotel, it's basically the place, like the room, sometimes in the hospital even. Like when I was having my child, had a normal, like clinical labor, like, you know, normal hospital environment, not in this labor hotel. We had this labor hotel there in a hospital, just a few steps further. You know, some women, they just want to feel more relaxed. They just don't want to be stressed out by all these medical procedures and everything. And they choose this place. Plus, if something goes wrong, they can be immediately transferred to this, you know, clinical part of the hospital, where their labor will be handled in the best way possible by the medical personnel. But mostly, you know, a lot of women these days, from my own experience, they, you know, especially when they're Dutch, they prefer this labor hotel. Plus, a lot of insurances, they don't cover this medical labor if you don't pay that much for insurance, but I have good insurance, so my labor could be covered anyway. But some people choose not so expensive insurance, and their insurance only covers this labor hotel. But in case something wrong and you transfer to the, you know, medical side of the hospital, it's all fine, insurance always covers, but you should have, you know, indications to be there. But not only this labor hotel and they call it like polyclinic labor, like, you know, this medical labor can be covered. It's possible to have it in 2 of those places, but it's also possible to deliver your baby at home. I know it sounds creepy and strange for you, like really in 21st century somebody's like, you know, doing something dangerous, but it's not really dangerous, because Dutch people have the longest history of labor at home. You know, a few decades ago, most of the children were being born at home, and I still know some of my Dutch women who prefer that. What happens, you know, when you decide to labor at home? First of all, your pregnancy should be like completely fine. There should be no indication, no danger to you or to your baby to make this attempt. Plus, your midwife, like, she comes to you, of course, when it starts, when your labor becomes regular and everything. But before, during your pregnancy, you order something it's called kraampakket in the Netherlands. It's like a box with a lot of like tools and like utensils and all kinds of things in case your labor starts at home, you know, what the midwife is going to need, you know, all kinds of things. I don't know the name of them in any language, to be honest, you know. It's just medical things, you know, the bandages and things like that, like some alcohol to sterilize certain things, you know, some pods for women, you know, when they have this postpartum recovery and bleeding and everything. So you got this big box. To be honest, all women in the Netherlands get this box in case labor starts at home. So you always need it. So even if you don't need it and your labor is in the hospital and you know it for sure, still, you know, you still get this box. But there's so many interesting tools and so many interesting things you can use, you know, for your baby. And it's interesting. If I find some interesting pictures, I will probably put somewhere here and you will see them. So there's 3 places when you can have your labor. What happens after when you had your baby? You know, everything went successful. Maybe it was like in a clinical labor, maybe it was in this labor hotel, maybe at home. There is a very wonderful lady who comes to you right after your baby enters this world. She's called kraamzorg. Kraamzorg is a woman who helps you with everything. Your first like 7, generally it's general number 7 days, sometimes it can be a bit longer if your labor had some complications, and she helps you with everything in a house, and she helps you with everything connected to baby care. She answers your questions, she has talk with you, she helps you to prepare meals, she checks that your bathroom should be clean, that your bedroom should be clean, she checks your temperature, she checks your pulse, she asks how you feel, she helps you to establish breastfeeding if you're willing to. It's actually a very good thing in the Netherlands. You're not being forced to breastfeed, and of course nobody can force anyone, but I'm just saying, like, even like there's no pressure on this matter, you know. Nobody is like looking at you down because, you know, you decided not to breastfeed or to breastfeed, you know. It's your personal choice what you want to do. And in this matter, Dutch people stay very tolerant. I have other videos where I just try to talk if Dutch are really tolerant, and I will leave you the link down below. You can watch this video. It's a big debate. I would find rather not, but on this topic, Dutch people are doing very well. So I've never really felt any judgment, you know, passing my way, that, you know, I started breastfeeding, but it's ended up pretty quickly because I had very difficult labor and I had a C-section, infection, everything. So I had no energy to do it, so I decided to formula feed my son, and there was no pressure on this matter. So I'm really happy that, you know, I was supported in that matter. So kraamzorg, this woman, she helps you with breastfeeding, as I said, if you need, or with formula feeding, how to arrange everything. She answers all kinds of questions, especially if it's your first child. It's a great help. But if it's not your first child, it's also great help because you have older children, you know, and they also need attention. A lot of Dutch people like to have children very close in age to each other. I think it's the most common way of doing this, like very close, like almost like one after another. And of course, the older child is also needing some attention and some time. And this woman who comes to help you, which is called kraamzorg, she comes and helps and plays with the child, you know, and gives him attention. Basically, it's a great help. And I find it extremely nice. The lady we got, it was like pretty old lady at first. Like I was full of emotions because my labor was extremely difficult and not easy. And I really wanted someone to talk to. And then like this woman was ringing the bell and we just looking like, oh my gosh, it's some kind of old lady. It turned out to be she was super sweet and she was super nice and loving and caring, and was nothing wrong with her. But at first she told us that she doesn't speak any English, and I was like, oh my god, you know, like we won't be able to communicate. But she said she has no problem understanding English, but she has problems speaking it. So because we're in the Netherlands, we're supposed to speak Dutch. I said, like, I don't care what we're supposed to speak, I want to speak the language that I'm fluent in. That's whether Russian or English. And she's like, oh yeah, but unfortunately blah blah. But in the end of the days, we found our way of communication, and she turned out to be a very sweet woman, very loving, very caring, very traditional. She spent all her young years taking care of the family. Once her daughter became grown and she had nothing else to do, she got bored at home, she started, you know, she went back to her job and started, like, you know, being kraamzorg again and help other babies. and other parents, and that was wonderful. I enjoyed it so much, enjoyed it enormously. I think Dutch people have great hospitals, great medical care, a lot of help postpartum, and that's perfect. But for some reason, this maternity leave that only lasts 3 months, and now, you know, the fathers, the partners of women, you know, can only can take, like, I believe, like 5 weeks for 70% of their salary. And this very short maternity leave, and the fact that women are so much rushed to work and children need to be put in daycare so early. I actually have a video about daycare. Is it like a necessity or is it a preference, early daycare practice? I also leave you the link down below. And then things turn out very much different. Things start changing, you know, when a woman being rushed to work so early. Yeah, most of Dutch people, Dutch women, they have part-time jobs, so it's not like they completely have abandoned their family and have to work 5 days a week. But still, I find it too early. A lot of them cannot continue breastfeeding because it's so much stress with work. And I think first of all, the right of the child has a right to be close to your mom, at least in the first year of life. There is no conversation about socialization, stupid remarks about playing with other children, things like that. They're not playing. They need strong connection with their parenting. This is the basis of trust and connection. Through that connection, all future parenting will go through. And when you actually parent and guide your child, they have this trust. It's a completely different type of parenting rather than train them, giving the order and punishing them like dogs. And the attachment theory has done numerous great things in that field. So if you don't know what it is, so Google it for yourself, and I hope they will help you to parent your kids. So that was my small story about how things are going on with the labor and delivery in the Netherlands. If you have any questions, maybe you want to ask me for an advice, or because you're worrying, you have questions, don't hesitate to write me your questions, to leave the question down below. I always answer all my questions because I have such a small channel, you know. I'm not investing so much time and effort as I'm supposed to, but I really have no time and resources to do so at the moment because I'm busy with my Russian channel, with the family. So if you have any questions, just ask me and I will try to answer them in the best way possible. So thank you for your attention. It was nice to record this video for you, and see you again in my next video. Bye bye.